Welcome, adventurers! You've made it to the Wind Down, the live stream at the end of the Geekverse. It's a chill place to hang out here as the sun sets on another day. We're here to have a little chat, reflect on the day's successes, and prepare for a better tomorrow. So settle in with your favorite beverage this evening.
May I tempt you with a cup of chamomile?
Why, thank you, Dory. I would love a mug of tea this evening, but perhaps you would rather have some coffee, though I do recommend decaf this late in the evening. Or perhaps maybe a cold brew is more your style.
Oh, no, thank you, Dory. A little red wine. For me, I think.
Sounds like an excellent choice, Gandalf. Whatever you want, it's yours. Could I offer you a bourbon, a martini, an old-fashioned, or something perhaps a little stronger? Ugh. Well, I mean, if that's really your thing, then okay, but I hope we can find something a bit better than that.
Romulan ale. Why, Bones, you know this is illegal.
I only use it for medicinal purposes.
All right, now we're talking. I'm Heath, and I'll be your host. Welcome to my home. Come one, come all, writers, artists, sculptors, storytellers, board gamers, streamers, dungeon masters, fans of sci-fi, fantasy, geeks of all kinds. Whatever your fandom, you have a place here. For soon it will be time for another long rest so that we can recover our hit points, our spells, and our abilities, so we'll be ready to fight on for another day tomorrow. But first, we all need a little time to reflect. Because you've survived another long, perilous day of wilderness treks, dungeoneering, and random encounters. And that's worth celebrating. Let's tell the tale. It's time for the Wind Down. It will improve your life. It really will. Give it a chance. Here we go. Oh, good evening, everybody. I am exhausted. I have got to completely do some life resets. I have been working so hard over the last few days, and I didn't even get much done. A martini would absolutely feel really good right now. Don't have one though. But man, I have not been productive today because I had just been hitting productivity hard basically ever since our last stream and trying to get some things done and making some progress, but it kind of hit me hard today. So not much happened today. I'm thinking about backing off tomorrow. I got to cut some grass, and I think I'll just not do, computer work tomorrow or something and try to take a break here. Hey, Better with Bacon, and also Shell Mill. Good evening. Good evening. So that's been pretty intense. But I did get a lot done, and I'm really happy about what I've been working on. Ever since like November for me, it has been, doing some layout. Okay, awesome. Perfect. Ever since like November, it's been just like take a project and then just absolutely attack it, because I did the letters from Santa Claus and I was like, hey, let's do letters from Santa Claus, and just did letters from Santa Claus. Then after that, I did the first section of the Clovis story and Tales of Rabavania. That isn't finished yet, but I got clean drafted, got it out to beta readers, got that rewritten. I don't have like art for the cover yet, but tore into that, then tore into the Tales of Rabavania role playing, realized that I didn't, that I wanted to do the Hacked Edge before I did that, set that aside, so I'd have those rules, I'd be able to do those rules at the same time. Then just tore into the Hacked Edge, and then also been working on, trying to do computer work for this. So let me show you last time we were talking, we went basically through the introduction of character creation all the way through demi-human character creation. We didn't talk about ability scores, which I worked on quite a bit since then. Armor, which I worked on quite a bit since then. Actually, should I talk about this before I show off the character generator? No, I'll show off the character generator first, since I talked about that. Because it doesn't actually cover some of these things. I need to cover. I've thought of some things it doesn't actually cover, which includes armor, weapon properties, gear, and cantrips. So I worked on ability scores, I worked on armor, I worked on weapons, I worked on weapon properties, and think I have a really good system there. It's going to be deadly. If you're an unarmored person in a dungeon, it's going to be rough. But let me show you. So after I got all that done, so I basically wrote all that and was reading through it, which doesn't mean that it was finished, but it was pretty close. It was a pretty reasonable draft. after that pretty reasonable draft got done, I was like, all right, it's time for me to turn my attention to something else. And I was like, I really like for to be able to put up characters, put up a character generator on the Ravenkeep website. And there's actually a few things I wanted to do with this character generator, but I was like, I want to be able to put it up on the Ravenkeep website for people to be able to create characters. And then also it would be great to be able to create characters online for like live streams and things like that. So I was like, let me just see if I can code it. So I think this was like, I don't even remember. All the days have blurred together since last week we were streaming. All the days have blurred together. And so this was probably like an entire day. And I mean like an entire day of work here to get to this point. And then last night I was like, that was yesterday, I guess. And last night I was like, all right, we're going to leave it where we are. So this is running locally. Right. Oh, well, thank you, Shelmel. Heath is good for making a good productive space where we can all get things done while cheering him. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Shelmel. Exactly. I'm glad that works like this. This is, this is kind of like report in. All right. So anyway, so I created this. This is running locally on my machine, but importantly, it's not just on my machine, because as I've mentioned several times, as I've been working on the Hacked Edge, I wanted to make this a game where I could put as much of the information possible up on a online relational database. And I've been using Supabase for this, and I've really been enjoying Supabase. It seems like a really great system. So I have a relational database that I've set up that has all of the information about creating a character on it. Like, if it's their particular profession, like what's all the information about the profession, all that's loaded into the online database. It's accessible through an API. So, I have a source of truth. I wasn't trying to like hard code all of this into like JavaScript or something where it's running on the web page. There is script running on the web page, but anytime it needs information about like, hey, how many spells does this particular character have? It goes and references the Supabase online with the through that relational database. That works. If I'm rambling, it's because, like I said, I'm exhausted after all of this. But I think that's good because as I've been writing the rule book, I've also then been uploading stuff as it's getting finished to the online relational database, so that the source of data, the database, becomes a source of truth. Although, of course, I'll have to make sure the book and the database is correct. But that way, like if I change, I don't know, the hit points of some particular type, profession type or something, I just change it in the database, and then anything that references that database will, of course, receive the update. So this is something that could go on the web, but it would reference my source of truth. So, Better with Bacon says, this is cool, man. Well, thank you. So I think what I'm trying to do here is I just have this idea. It's actually been very useful from a game design perspective to be creating not only the rule book, but also the database at the same time, because of course you don't have to do that when you're creating an RPG. RPGs often have quite a bit of fuzziness in them by design, and that's okay. And also oftentimes expected as well. But if I'm like, if I'm writing something down here and then I get to the point where, okay, now I need to put that in the database or articulate it as some type of rule and I can't, well, then it probably means I need to rewrite that rule more clearly. So I do also admit that means that the Hacked Edge is definitely a more gamist approach to role-playing. And I realized that, probably these rules could be used to do something like Warhammer Quest or Advanced Hero Quest or something like that, which I think is good for me. When I'm trying to do, that's an advantage. Something like the whole Fated Edge would be much more narrative and much more role-playing, much more fully narrative role-playing. This is a bit more constrained in, I don't know. Well, I don't know if that's keeping with the old school kind of ideals or not. Anyway, my point is that the rules that I write are capable of being put into a database and then operationalized through some type of scripting. I guess I'll put it that way. Okay, so let's see it work. So this is the Hacked Edge character generator. And right now you can't click over to first level. I just have my first level. Our 0th level. We've been working on 0th level. So 0th level is all that I got here. And then, well, I click generate character. So here we go. And I have this trace log right here that we can look through, and we can see exactly what happens when that character is created. And then boom, your character pops up. So there we go. So in this case, we just created a human squire that's a 0th level character. He's neutral. Blah, blah, blah. We'll take a look at more at that at the end. And then you can also scroll way down here to the end, and you can go back through the whole trace log for your character. So that's what I want to do more of, because I want to be sure that, hey, it's actually correct. If I go through my rule book and I go through what it just did, is this correct? So you can still get down here and see the whole trace log about exactly what created your character. And it's kind of ugly, but you can go up here if you were playing a game, and you can say export. I don't know what it shows you there. Oh, it does show you the export or the print or export menu. So if you wanted to just do an export of your character sheet, you could either export it to PDF or press print. Now, like I said, that's not a particularly pretty character sheet right there, but I did want to go ahead and put that in there so that you could have it, and you could put it in a much prettier, character sheet format later or whatever. But if the important part was that I need a 0th level character, generate one, press print, hey, you could be at the table, or save it. There you go. Let's see. Let me cancel that. Hey, Dave, welcome. Good evening. Welcome. What is this coded in? No, it's not. It's not XML. Ordinarily, I would have used that. I mean, or a while back ago, I probably would have used XML, but it's, of course, I got the it's pretty classic structured in the fact that I got the HTML file. I got an HTML file that governs all the HTML stuff. I've got the CSS file, of course, that governs all the style stuff. And then I've got a JavaScript file that handles the character creation, but that references the Supabase API when relevant to come and find other stuff out. When it needs something like, what is this squire? Like, what's the particular stats for this squire? Or mean to be a squire? It can go and do, it goes and gets those. So what kind of categories do we have now? Like, I noticed, I completely forgot. Last night, I was like, all right, I'm done. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. And then when I woke up this morning, I realized that I did not have inventory or encumbrance on this sheet. So I have not calculated that. So it's not quite done yet. No inventory and encumbrance. And then also a big deal after I had been working after we got off stream is weapon qualities. Because the damage, your damage is determined by your class, or if you're at 0th level, your profession here. So that's hard coded. So since I'm not worried about the weapon trying to do a particular amount of damage, that's based on who you are. An important part of this is that weapons have different qualities, and we can take a look at those tonight if we have time. I'm not planning on doing like a 2-hour stream tonight, but we can take a look at those. It'd be good for me to read over them again, because I don't even remember what I wrote at this point. But I do want on the character sheet, like I probably need to move your damage up 1, and then have weapon, and then have an indent, and then have your weapon qualities going down that. I really don't know why there is a box around your alignment. I got to figure that out. And then also in this case, why is there a period after none? Those are kind of small things. Move universal attack modifier. Oh yeah, move. Yeah, okay, that's what I was talking about. Looking at my notes here, move that above weapon, because things like your initiative. Oh, an initiative. I changed that a couple times, but I guess when I had to reload something like that, it didn't work. Initiative. That looks like you don't have initiative. It says initiative none, but that means initiative default. So there's still things to look at here. And the idea also was that, let me write that down. Initiative. I don't know if I can find a pen that works. Initiative is default, not none. Because, Yeah, that doesn't mean you don't have initiative. It just means you're using the default initiative system, that you're not fast enough or slow enough to warrant some kind of change. So what do we got here? Basic Dungeons and Dragons scores. This is 3d6 all the way down. Race, human. Profession is what you have if you're 0th level. This tells you, okay, you're 0th level. You've got health. I don't have an XP. You don't have any XP, but I need an XP field. I'll go ahead and put XP 0. Stamina. We're dividing health from stamina, but 0th level characters don't have stamina. By and large, only the hobbits do, the halflings. So that's correct. Alignment neutral. This is a human who speaks common. The intelligence level 7 is enough for native and basic literacy. This is kind of like, oh, this is a real low strength squire as well. No racial traits. Oh, right. So PH, thank you. I'm glad you did. The 2 boxes have been sent off to PH down there in Brazil of cultists. Prizes and paraphernalia. I hope it gets to you and that it doesn't get intercepted. I was trying to mail boxes of stuff to you, PH, in Brazil, and when I was mailing the book in the first box, I said that it's a game book, and there was something about like prohibited materials that came up or something, but it was like educational material that's written in Portuguese or something, so it didn't apply. But I was like, for a moment, I was worried. I was like, wait a minute, let this book through. So hopefully it all gets through to you. Let me know on stream. I'm sure it'll be a few days, though. Pre-class Knight, fallback class fighter. What I did, as I said, that for all of these professions, I mentioned this last time, it just was not working out for you to be able to choose what your first level class was going to be. Because, what if you get skills or abilities or magic spells that are not compatible with what's going to become your first level. So basically every profession, every 0th level profession has a pre-class. So this person will become a knight. If they survive and become first level, they'll be a knight. If you're not using the specialist classes like that, here's the fallback class. This person will become a fighter. Initiative is normal. Melee attack modifier, that's kind of brutal for being a squire with a 7 strength. That means -1. There's no to hit rolls. There's just 1 attack roll. And this squire's got a -1 on it, only rolling a d4 damage anyway. Missile attack modifier. Missile attack modifiers are based on wisdom, so this is kind of rough that this squire has a 7 strength and an 8 wisdom, so has negatives to both missile and melee, but does have an arming sword, which causes bleed damage. Its special ability was that causes bleed damage. I do remember that. Universal damage D4, is wearing medium armor, though, has a shield and a half helm. I mean, he's pretty beefy. Medium armor, shield, and a half helm. I think I came up with some fantastic rules for helmets and shields. We'll look at those in just a moment. I'm really happy with the relationship that I ended up coming up with. I guess this was like 48 hours ago. It's just been me in this house working on game stuff for the past like 72 hours, and all of my days run together. But I'm really happy with the relationship between armor, shields, and helmets that I've got. I'll share that with you on the stream here in a moment. You roll for copper coins. He's got a small steel mirror, no spells, got it, and then no NPC reaction bonus due to charisma. 4 maximum retainers, retainer loyalty, 7. We've got your death, wands, paralysis, breath, and spells save down here. Those are modified by some things, as are your adventuring skills. So these are the adventuring skills that adventurers have, although a couple of them are only available to the thief. So I was like, what are the skills? We're not doing non-weapon proficiencies. If you're an adventurer, then what are the skills that are ancillary to killing things that all of your adventurers should have? Picklocks and sleight of hand are thief only. But bushcraft, and I used a fully D6 system. Yes, the only major change that I made to the the only major change that I made to the old school essentials, as far as its skill as action resolution systems go, was removing the percentile based skill system, because it had both the percentile skill based system and the 0 or N in D6 or X in D6 system. It had both of those systems for resolving skills. And I was like, I can't unify the action resolution system completely, but okay, can we please at least just have one single system for skills? So I blended all of the skills. I got rid of the D6s, I got rid of the percentile system and put them all on D6s. So in this case, our adventuring skills are bushcraft, climb, critical care, field identification, hear noise, hide, open doors, pick lock, ride, search, sleight of hand, swim, and watercraft. That's more than I wanted at the beginning, but that's kind of what it came to, and I think that's a pretty good list. And so this individual as a squire has a 1 in 6 chance for critical care, a 1 in 6 chance of open doors. Open doors is based entirely on your strength. That's a bonus from his profession right there. So let's take a look at the log here and see if this makes any sense. So we initiate the character generator. We get we're rolling 3d6 straight down, which gives you some stats that people are not expecting. But I mean, this is 0th level play, and even at first level play, first level play, I'm going to have you can swap some things around, but you're not expecting to have an average of 14 or 15 in this game. But then again, the bonuses and penalties don't really click in until about 8 or 13. So there's a big middle area. So, okay, so you roll all of your stats. There you go. Strength, wisdom, dex, con, charisma. Then you roll to determine if you are demi-human or determine your race. If you roll a 6, as we said last time, you become demi-human. We rolled a 3, so this is a human. This is my check in here that says we were able to access the relational database correctly. So, okay, when it comes up with that, I know that, hey, it synced the rules. And then we start to go through all of our modifiers and saves from our ability scores. So open doors becomes a 1 because it's strength 7. That seems right. Field identification, is -1 because of he's really stupid. He's only an intelligence 7. But I do have it set so that we don't go below a 0. You can't have a skill that's lower than 0. So even though his intelligence would give him a -1 field identification, and field identification we said was just the ability to identify basic adventuring items that you might find on an adventure. Like, is this a potion of healing, or is this poison, or is this other, a potion of, flying or defense, or, whatever. There's gonna be a category of like common adventuring things that you could find that are not so obscure that you really need to go to your NPC sage, like a la Diablo, to go back and, have him identify, but like that you could potentially use right there in the dungeon. Int 7 gives him basic literacy, but that he does have native fluency with his language. He has no bonus languages. His missile attack bonus is -1 from wisdom. Wisdom governs missile attack bonus. And I made that as a late breaking call. What game was it that we were looking at that used wisdom for missile bonus? Was that Knave? As it turns out, that worked out very well here. There are other things for Dex to do, and I didn't want anything to be, the massive overpowering ability. And so wisdom governs missile attack bonuses. Sable confirms Knave. Yeah, so I went with that. Let's see. Wand saves. So there are 3 saves that are adjusted by wisdom. That is wands, paralysis, and spells. And so because I've got some rather low wisdom, I get a -1. It's a -1, but the saves you have to roll equal to or over. So, for example, wands save. Wands save. 16 right here. So we have ordinarily would be a 15 wands save, but because we have such miserable wisdom, we are at 16. Likewise, we start with a 18 spell save and go up to 19. Okay. See what we're doing here. Stamina modifier from Dex. Stamina modifier from Dex is what gives you the idea that you're able to dodge and get out of the way. So if you're a high Dex character, then you can have additional stamina. That's one way that you would actually have stamina at 0th level, is if you have Dex that's high enough to represent your ability to dodge and evade and get out of the way. In this case, Dex 9 is not enough to get this individual any modifier there. Initiative 9 gives him no modifier. Dex 9 gives him no modifier to his initiative. He does have a health bonus of 1 from his constitution. So, all right. That doesn't give me all of the information that I'd like to know about the health bonus, because you got to roll your health. This is the trace log rolling health. Okay, I need some more information there. Constitution influences your death and poison saves and your breath attacks, and so he's got high enough con to get a +1 on that. Charisma gives him NPC reaction 0. Charisma max retainers 4. Retainer loyalty 7. Strength does give him a melee attack bonus of -1, and that completes our modifier and save adjustments. Oh no, actually I do have it down here. Record vitality. Okay, so he is a human, so he is rolling 2d3 for his health points. He rolled a 4. With a con modifier, he got 5. Okay, I like this trace log because it tells you exactly what's going on. Okay, so that wasn't recorded up there, but there you go. That's when you roll the hit points. We rolled alignment. He got neutral. I biased it toward lawful. He only has 1 language because he's a bonus language. That's Common Native Basic Literacy. And then we start to do our base adventuring skills. Open doors is set by strength at 0 and 6. Climb is -1, and so is swim because of strength, but that hits a base of 0. Field identification hits 0, even though int -1. Search is governed by int, hits 0. Level 0 characters don't have that many skills. Watercraft, also governed by int, hits 0. Hear noise, wisdom hits 0. Bushcraft, governed by wisdom, hits 0. Critical care is wisdom, hits 0. But then for his profession, he rolled squire, so he gets +1 to critical care, which is why he should have 1 in critical care. That checks out. And he rolled 7 copper coins for his starting wealth. Character ready for deployment. All right, so I have made a few notes about some things here, but to me that sounds pretty good. Hey, I just like rolling here, so let's roll up another character and just see what happens here. Let's see if we can get a demi-human before we go and look at some other things. Oh, I think that just said that we hit a demi-human. We did. Oh, we just created a gnome. Okay, so this is a gnome forager. 0th level, 5 health, lawful, speaks common, native, and literate, gnomish, common, gnomish. Oh, we got an error. Oh, error with gnomish languages. Now that sounds like something really geeky right there. I've noticed we have an error with our gnomish language generation. Error with gnome. Why did this happen? Oh, I bet I know what happened here. I bet I know what happened. Because he's got... he should be speaking, unless he has bonus languages due to intelligence. Which I do not think he does. Does he have a bonus language? Let me see. I think, let me look over here in my rule book. Well, that's not pulling up. Oh, no, here we go. Okay, so demi-humans. No, it's ability score modifiers. So intelligence. He should get 1 additional language. So he should be speaking. So it looks like that happened, but he may have accidentally gotten common again. because he should be speaking Common, he should be speaking Gnomish, and then getting one additional language. And it looks like he rolled Common. I got the language. I had to come up with a language table, which is kind of world specific, but I'm trying to do this as just as basic rules, as kind of general basic fantasy. And so I came up with a language table that's 2d10 that is so you've got some type of bell-shaped distribution, so you can have rarer languages, more common languages. So I bet what happened was that he rolled on that table and then he got rolled Common again. Can't get Common again. So really what needs to happen, I think, is that Common needs to come off of that table. That needs to be the extra language table so that you're never going to roll Common again. Can't get Common again. Remove that from the table. That looks like that's what needs to happen there. I put a couple of things just down here on racial traits. So he has infravision out to 90 feet. Opponents of large size or larger suffer a -2 penalty to attack. It's really not attack and damage because those are unified. Gnome. I'm trying to just make that the attack roll. Use the language. Remove that, but that did work. So he's, and he's going to become his racial class at the end of this if he survives to level 1. Melee modifier, yeah, he's pretty strong. He's a strength 13 gnome. Okay, using a sling. Okay, but no armor, no shields. He's got iron rations and sling stones, and he's got 1 cantrip a day, and he knows read magic, mage hand, and dancing lights. -1 NPC reaction to this gnome here. He's got some skills though. He's got climb 1 and 6. He's got field identification 1 and 6. Hear noise 2 and 6. Open doors 3 and 6. Search 1 and 6. Swim 1 and 6. And watercraft 1 and 6. And these demi-humans have some fantastic saves. So he's got a death save 9+, wands 12+, paralysis 13+, breath 13+, and spells 15+. Hey, let's run another one so I can just take a look at it. Generate character. Let's see what happens. Got a human this time. We rolled another squire. Another strength 7 squire. Dex 16 though this time. And lots of N. So he knows Common, Sylvan, and Draconic. So there you go. So he must not have rolled Common again. He knows Common, Sylvan, and Draconic. And he's got a high dex, so he actually gets an additional card in the initiative card deck. So he's going to be faster. But he's still got this -1 modifier for melee and missiles. Arming sword. He's got better skills. Look at the skills this guy's got. Now, how in the world did he get pick lock +2? Oh, let's see. This is the kind of stuff I just did not have time to go and do last night. Let me get on another sheet of paper here. So there's lots of notes to go before I am able to put this out. So I noticed that, so pick locks and sleight of hand. Pick locks and sleight of hand should only be available to pre-thieves. That should be easy enough to code in there, so that if you hit something other than a pre-thief, make sure that pick locks and sleight of hands go immediately to 0. But so like bushcraft, like what are all his different skills right here? Skills. He ended up with this is the squire hit open doors at 6 and 1. Climb, yeah, low strength, that went down. Swim, low strength, that went down. Zeroed it out. But pick locks has a modifier of +2 based on his dexterity, but it should not, because that's not a skill that's available to him. So that did do that correctly by its current logic, except for I need to make sure I zero that out. Hide, 2 and 6. Sleight of hand, that needs to be zeroed out, but it seems the logic as existing is correct. Ride, 2 and 6. Yeah. Field identification goes up by 2 because of high intelligence. So he's not a strong or wise squire, but he's got a lot of other things going for him. He's a +2 field identification. Yeah. Search. Yeah. +2. Watercraft. Yeah. This is a hear noise. That should go down. That's a 0. Bushcraft. Yeah. That goes down to 0. He's going to get lost in the woods. And has a -1 in critical care, although he gets a +1 because he is a squire. So, okay. I mean, that if you don't mind the -1 to attack and missile modifiers, that's a pretty good little squire right there. Let's do it one more time. I want to take a look at the weapons that I made. But I've got lots of notes here to sit down and screw around with this again tomorrow. It might not be tomorrow. What do we get? Human bounty hunter. Those are some pretty reasonable stats. 7 wisdom, but strength 14, int 13. Perfectly reasonable dex. 11 con, 11 charisma. Bonus language, he speaks Hobgoblin, Common and Hobgoblin. Pre-class Ranger. +1 melee attack modifiers. The wisdoms that we've been rolling up seems to be killing some characters here. Crossbow, light armor. It seemed like the adventuring skills were working out. He's got a 3 and 6 in open doors. He's got 3 and 6 open doors because he's got high strength. Yeah, strength 14. That automatically grants you a 3 and 6 in opening doors. He's got climb, field identification, hide. Yeah, some pretty reasonable first level characters. I still think they're going to die though. Let's see. Generate again. Oh, we got a pre-cleric, a lector. Strength 10. Here's our wisdom 5 pre-cleric. Uh-oh. That's not going to be good for him. He's got a -2 missile attack modifier, but that's okay. He's got a club. He's got a club, no armor, no shield, no helmet. Flint, steel, and tinder. I had not changed the flint, steel, and tinder out yet. We talked about that a lot on the last stream. I'm not sure what to do about that. But what I'll do is I'll run a find and replace when I come up with something more suitable for flint, steel, and tinder. I got tired of thinking about it. And he has thaumaturgy and guidance as 0th level spells. Field identification. He can hear some noise. He can open some doors. Okay. So, I mean, kind of fun. I think. I mean, this kind of thing would not have been something that I would have been able to build a year ago. A while back ago, I tried to build the Knave character generator because I want to do that just as a test. Occasionally, I come back around to trying to figure out, like, there's some projects I want to do, and am I going to be able to do them now? Is like the tech at the level where I can do them. When I mean I can do them, I actually mean I can do them. And I got the Knave character generator coded, but I never got it deployed as a Discord server bot, like was the goal then. Was never able to do that. So never able to take that final step in implementation. This, I think I'll be able to do the final step of implementation was. And this is much nicer than just the printout that the Knave generator was. So tech is allowing me, and by that I really mean me, to do more things like that. Human acolyte right here. Cleric, got a mace, missile attack +1, flint, steel, and tinder. Yeah, I got to fix that. But light and sacred flame here, and some stats. Let's see if we can get any other. It's pretty rare to roll a demi-human. You have to roll a 6 on a d6 to hit a demi-human, and then there are 4 different demi-humans: elf, dwarf, gnome, and halfling, and that's a d4. So the demi-humans are pretty rare. Yep, got another human. Did we just end up with a 1 HP human? Oh, we did. So this is interesting. So this is one of the 1 HP humans. So this is a human burglar. Oh, how did this work out? This person only has 1 health, basically 1 HP. So 1 health, but strength 16, a very strong burglar here. Intelligence 14, wisdom 9, still low on wisdom, low on con, and stronger than he is dexterous. And see, again, that must be what's happening here. Common dialect, so he gets a bit bonus language, but he rolled common again. That should be an easy enough fix. Pre-thief, he does see he's got a +2 melee attack modifier, even though he's a thief. But hey, in this case, he's actually holding a club, so he's got D2 damage. But with this club, but he's got +2. So that ain't bad. D2 +2 damage at 0th level, that ain't bad. No armor, no helmet, no shield. And he's got grappling hooks with a rope and a lockpick, 6 copper coins jingling around, 4 max retainers, 7 retainer loyalties. He should be able to get lockpicks and sleight of hand. He ended up not having sleight of hand, but he does have lockpicking 1 and 6 because he's more strong than he is dexterous. But he can swim. He's got a 2 in swim, 1 in watercraft. Open doors 5 and 6. Hey, this pre-thief, this burglar doesn't need no lock picks. He's got a 4 and 6 in open doors. This is the burglar who just breaks down your front door and then takes whatever he wants. So this burglar has a 4 and 6. This is kind of the fun of like the 0th level creation. The first level creation, you'd have more of a say and some choices to make, but the 0th level creation is just completely random. So open doors 4 and 6. He can hide 1 and 6. Field identification 1 and 6. He's got a 3 and 6 in climb though. So this guy can climb up to a door that you've got like on the side of your house and then bust it open. So that's kind of a neat character. Let's do one more. And then I will take a look at what I had with weapons. Another human. 2 HP human. Oh, we got a 2 HP human coming in. Oh, an herbalist. All right. Oh, low strength. Reasonable. And basic other scores. Well, see, it says, I talked about this quite a bit. Dave says, I loathe the 1 HP starting character. He probably started at 1 because he had low con. In this game, it's explicitly impossible to roll a 1 HP character. The only way that you can have a 1 HP character, because you're rolling 2d3 for your health. Health is what I'm calling HP. You're rolling 2d3. So the minimum you can roll is 2. The only way that you end up with a 1 is if your constitution score is negative. So like that character, I should have looked at that. And I'm not saving any of these characters. Even though this is pulling data from the relational database, it's not saving the characters anywhere. That's going to come later. I'll talk about that in a moment. But the only way you can roll a character with 1 HP is if you roll a 2 on your hit points and your con is so low that it's a negative. So that's what we roll the hit die and add it to the con score. So I mean that's basically what happened here. So here, con, that gives you no constitution modifier. So health 2. But the way this goes, if you had not seen the other streams, is that your profession is determined by your hit points, your health. So you're never going to have a 1 or a 2 hit point fighter. If you're trying to be a fighter, you're never going to have a 1 or a 2 hit point fighter, because that just means that you can't be a fighter. All of the 1 and 2 hit point characters are either going to be pre-thieves or pre-wizards. That's determined by the profession. So in this case, this is a health 2 character, which means they're a and they rolled herbalist, which means they're a pre-magic user. Attack modifier -1, has a sickle for universal damage of D2, no armor, no shield, no helmet, but does have a healing poultice and 3 cantrips, including poison spray, mending, and read magic. So 3 cantrips per day. And I wanted to be sure that that was actually part of the trade-off, is that I want those things to hit hard. Poison spray is actually a really good spell. It evades armor. Like if you spray somebody with poison, it doesn't matter if they're wearing extra heavy armor because it gets into their armor. So the trade-off here for being really low in hit points is that it puts you into either the thief or the wizard track. And when you hit wizard, your spells are actually useful, and mending is actually really useful too with our shields and swords. Let me go over to that now. But that's kind of my thinking here. So this is working. It's not quite right. Looking at this list of notes here, it seems like there's a lot to do, but I don't think that will take too long. I don't think it'll take more than a day for sure. I commented the code really well, so I can go back to it. So here's the set. So this person rolled 7 HP. This person rolled 7 HP. That means they are going to be a mercenary. I mean, they're going to be up there with like a fighter type. So a mercenary is a pre-fighter. So this person rolled 7 health for a 0th level character. They rolled mercenary. And so now here you go. This person has got no melee attack modifier, -1 missile attack modifier, has an arming sword for D4 damage, has a medium armor, shield, and a half health. A lowly 2 coppers in his coin purse and an oil flask. 2 in open doors and 1 in critical care. That's it. Okay, let me take this down and let me go over here to the relationships. We'll do ability scores and then armor. Let me see. So here are our ability modifiers. So like strength. So you'll notice that it's 3, 4 and 5, 6 to 8, 9 to 12. So 9 to 12 is nothing. So that no bonus or no penalty on all of these. So that's when you're looking at this, Dungeons and Dragons starts giving out, the current version of Dungeons and Dragons starts giving out modifiers and penalties like at 12 and 9. Is that right? Is that 12? It's very compressed. Whereas the old school way of doing things is not as compressed. So 9 to 12, as long as you're within the 9 to 12 range, you're normal and you don't receive any penalty or bonus. Hey, Dungeon Master. Oh, Dave says this is great. Well, thank you. Oh, let me say that. Okay, so what I'm thinking here, so I obviously have to get the code right. So like I'm, debugging code here to make sure that this is right. I'm trying to debug code here. But then another thing that I want to do with that, so the idea, and this is only if I can do it. But this is one of those things that's been in the back of my mind for probably 20 years. And I'm like, is this something that I'll be able to do? So the next thing that I want to do, because right now that's just creates a character and then allows you to print it out for like just operations at your table. But once I make sure that all the code is right and the characters generating exactly as they should, the next thing I want to do is be able to save those characters back to the database. So if you go through a different way of creating a character, I don't want it to just be on a website that's disconnected from everything. I've got a table on my database that is sitting there ready for characters to be put in. Well, it may not be 100% ready, but I built it so that we'll be able to put characters in there. I'm sure there's some other things I have to do to it. So that if you roll up a character, you load that into the database, and then that character will be able to interact with like a virtual dungeon or something. I started today before I kind of gave up because I was too tired, working on the dungeon generation mechanics. So I was like, okay, I kind of got this set up so that we got a little guy who can run around and do things. But we need some kind of place for him to run around and do stuff in. So the next step kind of is to come up with the procedural dungeon generation and then be able to save a character to the database so that character can kind of run through the dungeon. And I think that'd be a kind of fun thing to do online. We'll see if it can be done. We will see if it can be done. I'm kind of running myself ragged. But okay, so strength governs melee attack bonus, which most of our basic modifiers are -1 at 6 to 8, -2 at 4 to 5, and if you're at 3, you're at -3. Okay, so your melee attack bonus is that 1, 2, 3, or -1, -2, -3, 1, 2, and 3, starting at 13. Open doors is the odd man out, but hey, this is old school role playing, so that's just the way that it works. Open doors is completely governed by your strength. 1 and 6 up to 8. If you're normal, it's 2 to 6, and then you get 3, 4, and 5. Intelligence determines your spoken languages, your literacy, and then also a modifier to field identification. And I think this could be rewritten in a more simple way, but that's basically your standard modifier given to field identification. Field identification being, I didn't even write that up in here, but ability to identify general adventuring items. Been trying to write the rule book and obviously not lay out the rule book, but write the rule book and do the database at the same time. Wisdom governs magical resistance and your missile attack bonus. So magical resistance, that is your wands, paralysis, and petrification, and then spells, rods, and staves. Those gives you a bonus or penalty to that. And then also your missile weapon attack modifier. Dexterity adjusts your stamina, and that's because that's your ability to dodge right there. That's how that's adding that in. Stamina you lose before you lose health. And then also, since I'm using a card-based initiative, if you get to 13 plus, you end up with 2 initiative cards in the deck. You go on the first one drawn. And then if you're at 4 or 5 or 3, you're in the bottom half of the deck. Constitution governs health points. So basically your hit points. So you get your adjustment to your health points or your hit points from your con as normal, although 9 to 12, like we said, is normal and requires and gives no bonus, and then gives a save adjustment to both your death or poison saves and breath attacks. And then charisma gives you your NPC reactions, your retainers, your maximum number of retainers, and your base loyalty. And then I did also decide, as you could tell by the other one, governing different skills, using that standard modifier for open doors, climb, and open doors. This is kind of special because, like we said, that one's entirely determined by strength, but it's still on there. Climb and swim go to strength. Lockpick, hide, sleight of hand, and ride go to dexterity. Field identification, search, and watercraft go to intelligence, and then hear noise, bushcraft, and critical care go to wisdom. So that's your ability modifiers. And I do like, this was kind of a late breaking thing right here, adding the skills in, because right now at the beginning, skills were entirely independent of your ability scores, but I decided to go ahead and add those in because, hey, if you score well, if you roll well, then why not have that carry on to different levels of the character? Okay, let's take a look at armor. I'm very interested to know what you think about this. Okay. This does go along with my philosophy of game design to reduce randomness. The random element of the game is largely it may not be completely, but it is largely, when we're talking about combat, the attack roll, which is going to indicate damage. Okay, so you're not rolling to hit. You're just rolling one die, and that's going to indicate the amount of damage that you inflict on the opponent. And then they have different ways of being able to take that. So here we go. Armor. Armor in the Hacked Edge is handled abstractly. It does not explicitly define the coverage of armor or even the type of material. Instead, the character's armor rating can be of one of 4 categories: none, light, medium, heavy, or extra heavy, indicating how well the character is armored overall. In combat, the die the attacker rolls assumes the target is wearing medium armor. Wearing heavier or lighter armor steps the attack die up or down. So here we have different steps. Like this is basically kind of like a DCC die chain. You know, if you need to step a D6 up 1, you go to D8. If you need to step it down 1, you go to D4. So I typed out the die chain someplace, but whatever. So none, this is +2 die steps. If you're attacking somebody with no armor, then this is going to, part of what's also going to make it really brutal for the pre-wizards when you're level 0. You're going to get +2 die steps to attack an unarmored wizard. They're going to die. That's why it was so important for the spells to be much better and more useful and more powerful. But none, you get +2 die steps if your opponent is wearing no armor, which is robes, tunics, and traveling clothes, offers no protection against attacks, but provides freedom of movement. So you see, I do have slots here, but I did not put slots on that character sheet because I forgot, and that is worn on the body. Light is +1 die step. Padded gambesons, reinforced leather or thick hides, offers a slight edge over unarmored opponents without weighing down the common traveler. Medium, which is our baseline armor, medium baseline. This adventuring standard includes brigandine, scale, or mail shirts. It's the default for anyone expecting action and provides solid protection without becoming an impediment during long days of travel or dungeon crawling. Slots 2. Heavy, then you go down 1 die step. So this battlefield standard consists of mail with plate or heavy lamellar. Often used by wealthy or professional soldiers, this armor dramatically reduces the damage taken by the wearer, but is exhausting to wear for extended periods of time. Slots 3, worn on the body. Extra heavy reduces your attack die by 2 steps. Full harness, designed to be the pinnacle of personal protection. Slots 5, worn on the body. Okay, rending armor. Armor can be rent and therefore have its effectiveness reduced. And this can happen in a couple of different ways. 1, suffering major wounds. Whenever a character suffers a wound of at least 5 points, a major wound, this character's armor is rent. And remember that we're not aggregating all of the health points. But let's see. Oh, Sable says, the pinnacle of personal... Sable says the pinnacle of personal protection. I call it P3 armor. Let's make that P3 armor. Yes, the pinnacle of personal protection. That's P3 armor. But if you receive a single hit of 5 that actually goes to your health, your armor is rent. Its effectiveness is reduced by 1 level. Armor can be rended. That should be not rented. Rended. A maximum of 2 times, reducing its effectiveness by 2 levels, but never below the category of none. And that also means that, like, the low level, the non-martial characters are going to have a difficult time rending somebody's armor. What's going to rend somebody's armor? High-level fighters, trolls, things like that are really beating you. Sunder quality. Also, if you have a weapon with the Sunder quality, like a mace, warhammer, or battle axe, I need to make sure that those 3 were the ones that end up with the Sunder quality. Your armor may rend automatically. Will rend if the target number is hit. If the target number is hit, even if you did not take any damage to your health. Armor can be further supplemented by both helmets and shields. So I didn't include helmets or shields into the general armor category. So here's what I said about shields. Shields are active defense tools. Unlike armor, which passively changes the incoming damage die, shields directly reduce the damage points of a hit. A shield functions automatically as long as the character is aware of the attack and facing the threat, front or flanks. Damage resistance, the flat amount subtracted from every eligible incoming attack. Durability, the shield's health. If damage remains after the DR is applied, the player may choose... I think something just flew into my lamp right there, the flame of my lamp. If damage remains after the DR is applied, the player may choose to spend 1 point of durability to negate that hit's remaining damage. However, a shield's durability cannot be expended to defend against critical hits. When a shield reaches 0 durability, it's shattered and provides no further protection. I went over this quite a bit because I didn't want the shield. If the shield just had hit points, it wasn't working, because then you always have to like hammer through a shield's hit points before you can ever get to the character, and you're just expecting the shield's going to break apart by the time you get to the end of the dungeon, and that just was not working. So this ended up working. Now, of course, my plan is to also code all of this, and we'll simulate it, and we'll have things fight each other, and we'll see. But for instance, a buckler, a small metal or wood disc of no more than 1 foot in diameter, held in the fist. Bucklers provide no protection against missile weapons, as they are too small to intercept a projectile reliably. Thus, a character targeted by a missile attack cannot use the buckler's DR and cannot spend its durability. It's DR 1, durability 1. Small, so you can. You never have to expend your shield's durability. This is a choice. I wanted these to be choices in the player's hand. You never have to expend your shield's durability, so it's not always going to be just breaking and busting. It's not going to break and bust unless you choose to expend the buckler's durability to absorb all of the non-critical damage that you just took. Otherwise, you're going to get to reduce incoming attacks by 1 as long as you're aware of the attack and it's to the front of you. Small shields, versatile round shields held in the hand or strapped to the arm. DR1 durability 2. Medium shields are DR2 durability 3. And then if you've got something that's like the large shield that you might take to siege a castle, that's DR3 durability 4. So I like that shields are different. And they're good, which makes sense. Have a shield if your character class allows you to use one. Helms are handled separately from body armor and specifically protect the character from stunned and staggered conditions. If the wearer would suffer an effect of either, the player may instead have the helmet dent, negating that effect. Further, they can be sundered to negate health loss from critical hits. This is sundering. A lot of people use like the splintered shield rule here to negate like all damage, and I did not do that. I put that over to the helm. Further, you can use sundered to negate a health loss from critical hits. So it's the helmet that actually prevents you from taking critical hits, which I thought makes sense because, like, what is a critical hit? Being hit in a particularly vulnerable part of your body. What's a particularly vulnerable part of your body? Your head. So if you take a critical hit and you are wearing a helmet, you can choose to sunder your helmet and negate that critical hit. So a half helm is any open-faced helm. Like, I didn't go into the difference between kettle hats, like I didn't go into that with armor, I didn't do it. So I just say we have half helmets, any open-faced helmets, kettle hats, skull caps, bassinets without visors. A half helm may only be dented once, and a full helm is a great helm or other helm with fully enclosed faceplates. A full helm may be dented twice. If a character receives a critical hit, they may choose to have their helm be sundered by the strike, which is also suitably dramatic from the role-playing perspective. Critical hit, boom, and like the helmet is ripped away or whatever, or is splintered like, Darth Vader's helmet or something like that, and you stare at them. The helmet has been sundered. The helmet absorbs all of the health points of the damage of the attack that the attack would have inflicted, but a sundered helm is now useless and can no longer be dented and cannot be sundered again unless your gnomish tinker runs up with his special cantrip, which is mend. Remember, I mentioned at one point that mend becomes really important because, like, why in the world would you want to take mending into the dungeon? Well, you might want to. The mending spell then becomes basically the healing spell for your gear. If your gear is breaking, your shields are taking durability damage, your helmets are getting dented, or your helmet is sundered, well, your little gnomish tinker or somebody else who knows mending can run up and use the magic spell and restore your gear. So I'm really liking this. I really want to play test this. And I'm also, that's another reason, that's where I was trying to get the character generator going. And then I also want to be able to generate some foes and let's just do a Python script where things fight each other 1,000 times and let's see what happens. Because I'm sure there are going to be some things. I know this can be brutal to be these wizards. We may have to give the wizards and the thieves even more stuff to especially level 1. I mean, level 0, things die. But we may need to buff them because you're wearing no armor, you've got no helmet, you've got no shield, which we were just saying was really important. You got 2 hit points. Don't let the orc kill you, hit you, or don't let the orc hit you, because if they do, they'll kill you. Okay, so right, have fun storming the castle with a giant shield, right? Yes. Oh, Sable says I really like this. I want to play. Well, I'm excited too. This has been so much work. This has been like writing this rule book and then also working on the database and then writing up the script. I really haven't been outside. That's why I was thinking tomorrow I need to just not completely reset, go out, cut the grass, and then keep going. So I'm working on it. It's fun. Oh, you like that with the mending of the gear? I was trying to come up with some way to have a good way to have destructible gear that wasn't too much. And I don't think that's too much because all of that's based on player choice. And I do also like that idea about what James Bacon was talking about Mike in his book about, trust and whatever. Like, okay, you take, the orc walks up, it's got you're in what type of armor? Okay, I roll a 6. Now it's up to you on your character sheet to figure out what you're doing with that 6 points of damage. Do you have a shield? Whatever you want to, whatever you're doing, that's up to you to look at your character sheet and go, how do I handle that? High trust, right? Yes, exactly. Right, and it should, right? Yes, exactly. So the Shellmel says really makes fighters teaming up with the mage a good choice. I want that to work together well. Yes. Now with the single level with the gauntlet, I was like, how do you run this characters through a gauntlet? 0 level characters through a gauntlet. I was thinking about one character at a time, and that probably means those wizards are going to die. But we'll see. We'll see. Thank you. Dave says the step up 1 die or one step up or down 1 die for armor is elegant. Thank you. I think it's going to work well. A genius. That's what Gemini told me about this as we were coding up the as we were coding up the character generator. So thank you. I'm excited about it. And that's why I was like, I need to go ahead and write my revision of OSE before I do my world books, because I want the rules to be written so that when I go on and finish up the world books or continue to work on the world books, I just have all of my rules sitting there. So it can be, the OSE in the same book that has all of the OSE rules. It can also have the Hacked Edge rules. I'm not going to go too much longer, but let's look at weapons. I don't even remember what I wrote for. Okay, so this is what I was trying to write up for weapons, because I was trying to write up the weapons in a way that I could write or have an AI write SQL code to load this into my relational database. So I was trying to come up. So here is a bunch of the different properties that weapons have. So, okay, we'll have, reach is very important, because if you have a weapon that is longer than your opponent, that's important for attacking. It's, it's easier to attack somebody with a longer opponent. I don't know if PH is still here, but PH was as an important part of coming up with some of those attack rules for on the stream here for people with longer and shorter weapons than one another. So the reach the weapon is out there. Damage type, okay, that'll be there, especially if you have some kind of creature that's immune to some kind of weapon or damage type or something like that. Got it. Cost. Slots for your inventory. Hands, how many hands this takes up. This battle axe says versatile, actually. I kind of think I'll just make a note here. There might need to be, I don't know if we have a battle axe and 2-handed axe. Is there a difference? Whoop, not typing here. The difference between, what's going on? One-handed axes. And 2, we will see. What's important here is the different properties. So then, can it melee? And you can see why this is going into a database. Can you melee with this? Can you conduct a range attack with this? If you can, what is its range? Bleed threshold and bleed condition. So this is, does it make you bleed? And if so, on what level threshold of your roll? There's only one roll. So if you've exceeded that roll, you can inflict a bleed condition. Can you use this weapon to brace? Do you have a deadly die? And the deadly condition means that it's overriding the critical condition, because I believe it came up to the fact that on most attacks, if you roll a crit, so if you roll the maximum damage on your attack die, you get to roll another die immediately and apply that directly to your opponent's health. And I believe the case was that you step down the die 1. So if you're rolling a D6 on your attack die, you roll a 6, you get to roll a D4 directly to your opponent's health. Unless the weapon that you have is deadly, in which case it might have a minimum critical die. Basically the minimum critical die. Flexible, which means it can go around shields. Knockdown threshold, meaning it can knock you down. Precise, which means that if you are attacking an unaware opponent, you get a bonus. Puncture, is it a puncture weapon? which means it goes through, treats your armor category as like 1 or 2 lower. Is it slow, which means you can't use it twice in a row if you hit. Staggering somebody, can you stagger the opponent with it? And if so, at what threshold? Can you sunder armor with it? And if so, on what threshold? Like, for instance, okay, so I have the battle axe right here. Now, I mean, not everything has all these different properties. You can see this battle axe is mostly false and null. The property the battle axe has is that it can sunder armor. So if you're rolling and you roll 4, then it can sunder the opponent's armor by 1, even if you're not taking damage. And this works because the damage is by class or profession. And I know James Bacon was a big fan of damage by class. And so I really adopted it and leaned into this. And it just makes so many things so much easier. Because if you've got a sunder threshold of 5, I'm still gonna have to work with what exactly these thresholds are. But if you got if you're rolling a D4 for damage or a D3 with damage, it doesn't matter if you're holding the battle axe. You're never going to be able to do enough damage with it to actually sunder anything. So only the better fighters are the ones that are going to be able to surpass that sunder threshold anyway. Can you throw it? And then is it versatile? Oh, yeah. So, okay, I see a problem right here because I had hands versatile up here. I think I got confused. This says hands versatile true, but whatever. So there's still some work to do. But those are the different kinds of things. Let's see, weapon properties that a weapon can do. Let me go here because damage is not a factor of it. So weapon properties define the tactical utilities of your gear. Triggered properties, X+, activate only when the damage die meets or exceeds the specified threshold. I didn't want you to have to roll again multiple times to, now, did I make you bleed or did I stun you or whatever? It's all handled by 1 die. So like bleed will be X + Y. If the damage roll is X or greater and the target suffers any health points of damage, they receive the bleeding Y condition. Now that's up to you because you could absorb things with a shield and so not take bleeding damage. You'd be like, oh my God, okay, well, I'm not going to take bleeding damage. I'm going to take a durability on my shield, all damage off the table. I didn't end up taking any health points. Or if you've got stamina to give. Oh, well, I'm not taking this to my, I'm going to give up stamina here. Okay, you gave up stamina, no bleeding condition. Only if you take health points would you take bleeding. Brace. If you take the brace action and an enemy moves into your reach to attack you, you deal double damage on your next hit against them. That's like bracing spears against cavalry and whatever. So here's deadly. Deadly X. When you roll maximum damage on your class die, your class attack die, it's a critical hit. Follow the critical hit rules, but if the crit die is of a lower step than the die indicated by X, replace the crit die with X. So some weapons might have a minimum crit die. Flexible means that it ignores shields. Knockdown X+. If the damage roll is X or higher and the target suffers any health points of damage, the enemy is knocked prone. They must spend their next move action to stand up. Precise. I'm going to change these because I just want to say the enemy is knocked prone. How you recover from prone, that needs to be in the conditions section. Precise + X. If the target is unaware, flanked, or attacked from the rear, add +X to the total damage. Puncture. This weapon is designed to find gaps in plates or punch through mail. It lowers armor protection by 1 level of armor protection. For example, a target in heavy armor is treated as medium, medium is treated as light, etc. Slow. This weapon requires significant recovery. After making an attack, you must spend your next initiative card resetting. Your next turn, really. Your next turn resetting. During a reset turn, the character may move and reposition but cannot attack. Stagger X+. If the damage roll is X or higher and the target suffers any health points of damage, they receive the staggered condition. Sunder X+. This weapon buckles plates and shreds mail. The target's armor rends, drops 1 category if the damage rolled is at least X. A shielded defender may spend 1 shield durability to ignore this effect. Thrown, the melee weapon is balanced for flight and can be used as a missile weapon up to near range. And versatile, the weapon can be used with 1 or 2 hands. Using it in 2 hands grants a +1 bonus to the final damage roll. So those are the kinds of properties that I came up with for the weapons to try to make each one of them different. And I don't think any weapon has more than one property, because it started to get unwieldy if you've got a whole bunch of different properties. And hey, I'm deadly on, precise on this, and I bleed on that, and I do a knockdown on that. It's just too much. So every weapon has a maximum of one property that allows it to do something extra in combat other than just, hey, I do damage. Because hey, the amount of damage that you're doing is done by is determined by your class or profession anyway. So what weapon you choose to use matters tactically. That's the idea. We will see. Gear, got my gear list right here. Tried to make sure that all of the gear is actually something that would be, this is biased toward adventuring in a dungeon. Useful like in dungeon kinds of environments. Got the cantrips right here. Still working on those. Trying to make sure that everything has chill touch would have the combat effect, obviously, but then also other things that it can do in the dungeon as well. And then also trying to come up with some type of name generator. So, all right. Well, like I said, I'm exhausted. That's what I've been trying to work on. This is, like I said, all of my days for the past 72 hours have run together. I'm going to try to crash, get some sleep, and reset myself tomorrow and spend some time outside, and then before I start to work on this again. But that's where I am. It's been a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to bringing it out and doing a lot more with it, because I'm really excited about it as I've been writing it and making the character generator and stuff. Okay, I am out of here for now. Have a wonderful evening. Go forth, be creative, enjoy yourself. Later.